This is Cassidy Gustafson.
Hi, I'm Mercy Young.
Hi, my name is Lexi Elman from the University of the Pacific Volleyball,
And you're watching 209 Sports
on Tiger Radio.
Welcome into a special edition of 209 Sports Talk. I am the host, j.o.d. Jeff Dominic, and it is a special show, mainly because we have to make time for probably arguably one of the best strikers in volleyball history. None other than Lexi Elman is joining us. She is the senior captain for the University of Pacific Tigers women's volleyball team. Lexi, welcome in. How are you?
Good, how are you?
It's been a minute.
It has.
I haven't seen you in a while. I know you've been doing... Okay, before I get too far involved in with your career and everything else, on a lot of the things that I read, it says it's beach volleyball. But is it beach volleyball, or do you consider it sand volleyball?
It's considered beach volleyball now. It used to be sand volleyball, right. And then last year, or maybe 2 years ago, it became a NCAA official sport, and that's when it changed to beach. So technically it is beach, but we say beach or sand, it's okay.
Because I do think the last time that I talked to you away from the court, it was you mentioned beach, but everyone kept saying it's sand, so I got really confused, and I didn't know really how to take it. So yeah. Your career there is done as well.
Yes.
But I kind of want to talk a little bit about that. I'll talk a little bit more about the court side of things, because that's where you've really made a name for yourself here at Pacific. But we'll kind of dabble in both of those areas. Before we get you started, you're from Omaha, Nebraska.
Yes.
What was that like, making an 18-year-old girl coming from a place like Omaha, Nebraska to Stockton, California?
It was crazy. I was so lucky to be able to come out here with a teammate that I have known since 5th grade, and I think having her out here, Jess Dietrich, and I think having us go out together was probably the best outcome that it could have happened. I mean, we both know who each other are. Like, she knows who I am since 5th grade, so she knows me pretty well. So I think it was easy to make the transition from Omaha out to California. Obviously, I got to lose some coats and heavy weather gear, right. So that's a positive. But in terms of making the switch of being away from my family, that's always a hard transition for anyone. I think it also helps a lot that, my team is always so welcoming. They were so welcoming my freshman year, and they really brought me in, and really we're just a big family. So I kind of got away from my real family and built my own family out here.
Who was the first teammate that came and greeted you?
I don't remember. I know my unofficial visit when I was a junior in high school, I was with Hannah. And then my official visit was with Kat. I was, under Kat's wing. And I think one of my main memories from my freshman year was Jess and I came in the summer, and Emily Christensen, who's not here anymore, she finished her career at GCU. And so we came in, and the team had a big... potluck kind of thing at one of our teammates' house, and I just remember Katie Taggart and Jess and I. It's just a thing in Nebraska. You clean up your dinner plate, right? You go clean your plate. And so I think one of the big memories for me was Katie was like, "What are you doing? Like, you don't have to do that." And Jess and I were like, "Well, it's kind of what we normally do, so it's okay." Like, that was just my first memory.
So as you kind of it is really unique, because a lot of the athletes here at Pacific, they are, I'm not going to say every one of them are California natives, but the general consensus is that a lot of them are from California. How were you able how you got fortunate? You had Jess coming with you, mm-hmm. But how was that whole transition? I mean, luckily you had Jess, but were there any kind of hurdles you had to jump through in order to go, okay, this is not like Nebraska? Obviously, like the cleaning of the plate may be one thing, but were there like just a cultural? Was there a cultural difference really? I mean, what was that?
Not really cultural. I would say maybe a little bit of a language thing was. I don't know if you guys notice that you do it, but a lot of people, after you ask a question, you say yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say there was another one. Go ahead.
Greg would always just say, "All right, let's go play some volleyball." Yeah. Like, is that a question? Like, do we have to play volleyball? Or that was just something funny for me, and the hecka, all the terminology is just new here, but.
Yeah, we're also named for saying hella.
Yes,
that's the biggest one. Hella has always been the one.
That too.
Meeting Greg Gibbons for the very first time. Head coach Greg Gibbons. I know him and I have talked about you countless times about when he first saw you, it was initially that he just you kind of fell in his lap in a lot of sorts.
Right.
And but what was the first encounter with head coach Greg Gibbons?
So my first memory was 17th year of club. And he had already seen Jess. Ray, our old assistant coach, had seen Jess in Minneapolis, the qualifier. And so Greg wanted to come out and see Jess for himself. So he flew all the way to Omaha. It was a snowstorm. And here was this big, tall, like 6'4", 6'5" guy at our club practice. And Jess and I were getting our stuff on, and she whispered to me and was like, that's Greg. That's coach. And I was like, oh. And she was like, do you think I should tell him what court we're going to be on? Like, should I show him or, like, walk with him? And I was like, yeah, just tell him we're going to be over there on the end court. Like, it's no big deal. And, you know, he was in shorts, like he always is, and it was freezing. So I was like, that's a little bit weird. Like, you should know to bring some pants in December in Omaha. But that was my first memory, and he was just a little intimidating at first. But then once I got to, you know, talk to him, and once we started the recruiting process, I guess, in that way, so friendly, nothing but good things to say about him. I was a little bit scared at first, and I had nothing to worry about.
Head coach Greg Gibbons is an intimidating figure all the way around. I mean,
Yes.
he's a 6'4" guy, as you mentioned, and he's military as well.
Yes.
So he commands a lot of discipline.
Yes.
And stuff like that, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that as well, because I think that there's a lot of memories with you and him, because he's, as much as he is the intimidating figure, but like I said, when I've talked about him, and I've had conversations about you, and not just you, but the team as well, and all in all, he completely just loves and adores not just you, but everybody on that team.
Right.
And it's I wouldn't call him the teddy bear at the same time, but he's very father figure-ish
Right,
of you.
exactly. And I that's one of the things that drew me here is, you know, a lot of people don't have great relationships with their head coach. And I feel everyone on the volleyball team is very fortunate to have Greg as a coach. You can tell he really does care about you. And I think that's one of the things that I felt comfortable coming all the way out here was, and I think my mom and my dad, you know, after they met him, they felt a lot more comfortable with it, was he is a father. He's like a father figure to all of us, not in the sense of discipline and stuff like that.
You're not grounded, yeah.
Right, but he genuinely cares about what's going on in your life. We have bi-weekly meetings with him, and how's your life? How's class? How's boys, you know? How's all this stuff? Staying away from boys is the most important. So, but yeah, it was, you know, he's a great person to have as head coach.
As you're winding things down, I mean, obviously, you're, like I said, you're completely done as far as putting on a Pacific uniform, but it's volleyball standard as far as getting on the court and stuff like that. How often do you talk to Coach Gibbs? Are you still, like, do you still regularly talk to him as you start to wind down in your senior, or like start your finals?
Yeah, I think it's definitely gotten to a point where if I see him, I'm obviously going to have a great conversation with him, but I don't really see him a lot. I think at the beginning of the semester, when they were practicing on indoor, or more of the middle semester when they were practicing indoor and I really had nothing to do, if they needed an extra player to play 6-on-6, they would let me know, and I would come in, and that'd be great, and it would just be a big catch-up party with Greg and Jim and Nicole, and so that was always fun.
Your freshman year, you came in, you played all 30 matches, but obviously you had a transition period. What was that transition coming in from a high school level to a Division I level, taking on these girls that are 6'5", 6'6"? And I'm sure you've taken on girls like that before, but at the same time, this is a different kind of atmosphere. You're playing seniors that are 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, even
Right.
22.
Right.
What is that transition for a freshman coming in?
Yeah, you kind of get acclimated to that in high school if you were to start on varsity. That's kind of the same difference of ages that you play. I would say as my freshman year, I started out as an outside hitter, and you know, halfway through the season, I have never lifted before in my life before coming to Pacific. I was some scrawny little girl, and I had no idea, you know, how much it actually takes to be taking a bunch of these swings. And so, you know, my arm just kind of gave out. I wasn't, you know, performing as well as the team needed me to. And so I was just happy that I could make the switch and, you know, find a way on the court as a libero. And for me, that was so funny because both my older sisters have been liberos and was a libero. And So I think it was kind of funny to just look at them and just be like, hey, I can do it too. Ha ha ha.
What was your biggest motivation? Because you are 6 foot. Well, at least it labels you at 6 foot, and usually it's kind of weird to say that you're 6 foot. But coming into that, and you had to have a little bit more motivation because at that time, like you said, you came in, you weren't used to having to lift weights and stuff like that, and a lot of people kind of would have. When they look at you, you're like, okay, yeah. I can understand where you kind of even said that you were a scrawny person, but you seem to be a little bit of a gym rat. Talking to coach as well. These are little things that I've gotten to learn from him about you from him, and he basically said your dedication and almost playing with a chip on your shoulder has gotten you to where you are today.
Yeah, I would say I'm a very competitive person. I think sometimes it's a little bit hard for me to turn that off sometimes, so I think that is a very big factor. I have 3 older siblings and an older brother that can be a very big contribution to why I am very competitive. But yeah, just growing up in a competitive family is we all competed in sports, and I think that's something that we all just grew up with and kind of got acclimated with early in sports is, you have to compete, and there is just no greater feeling than playing on the floor, and especially in front of Pacific and having that jersey on and being able to be on the floor and play with the other 5 girls next to you is just something that I fell in love with, and I think that I just really wanted to do anything to be on the court with them and have that fun environment to play.
Backtracking a little bit, now you said you had sisters that were in volleyball.
Yeah.
What got you into volleyball? Was it your sisters and just trying to be like them kind of thing, or what kind of got you even more competitive to even make that jump to Division I?
Right. So my oldest sister, I don't even remember how young I was, but when she was in high school and playing in tournaments, they would be long day tournaments, and I would be stuck there all day. And I remember going in a corner and taking a volleyball and doing soccer juggles. And I don't know why or how I quit soccer. I think I quit soccer because I didn't like running. So that kind of X'd that out. I played basketball. I think one of the big things was I was trying to decide if I wanted to make the jump in basketball or volleyball, and I was in competitive basketball, and my coach said, you need to quit volleyball, you're doing too many things, you have to focus on one. And so I think that I just fell in love with volleyball. I grew up with it. I watched my sisters play, and I think a big factor of that is wanting to be like them, as I really did look up to both of them. So.
What about your brother? What kind of sports did he play? Because did he play volleyball as well?
No, but he should have. It's not really a thing in Nebraska, like men's volleyball. You kind of get looked at weird. So I feel like if he was out in California, he would be really good at volleyball. He played basketball, football. He did the whole shebang. He played baseball. He went to college for baseball. He was a pitcher. He played at Creighton with my twin sister, who played volleyball at Creighton. So it was kind of fun for them. But yeah, he's super competitive. Yeah, I look up to him as well in the sense of he's very competitive too.
What about parents' influence? Obviously they want you to be involved in sports, but how big of a role did they play, and what kind of things can you say about them being able to juggle? Okay, well, your brother has to be here, your sister has to be here, this has to be done going over here, and they were able to juggle all of you around. Talk about their influence and what they mean to you as far as just on an athletic side of things.
Right. They mean the world to me. I don't know how they did it. We were in so many sports. We were doing so many things, and I'm sure my mom filled up her gas tank once a day, driving all around Omaha and getting us to everything on time. Maybe 5 minutes late sometimes, but that's okay. But yeah, they didn't really influence me in the way of they were pushing me towards a sport or pushing me towards something. They were just always supportive, and okay, if that's what you want to do, then let's do it. And they kind of encourage me to, give my all in everything that I do, and knowing that I always have their constant support is awesome. You always want your parents' support, and you want them to be proud of you, and they always remind me how proud they are, and you gotta fight for what you want. And so they were always there every club tournament. My mom on the sidelines, I can still hear her screaming. You never fail to hear her and say, "Pass the ball, Lex," and I just look over at her and I'm just like, "Okay, I'll try." Like, "Thanks, Mom." It was just funny.
And now, obviously, Coach Gibbons is a little bit different, where he's like don't pass it, swing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you don't have to pass the ball, just swing at it. And so that's always fun.
what had you transition into an outside hitter versus possibly playing? Well, you played you were a defensive player for over here at Pacific for a very long time. A lot of recognition for your defensive side of things. Over 1,400 digs, everything else that we'll talk about that here in just a few moments. But what transitioned you from being more of a defensive person, and how did Coach Gibbons make you more of an offensive person?
Yeah, I think I've always grown up, 14s or 13s, I think I was a middle somehow. And I told my mom I wanted to be a middle, and my mom was like, you're going to be too short. I don't think you can do that. And so the next transition would be, I wanted to be a 6 rotation middle is what I wanted to be. And, that's ridiculous. So if my mom said, if you want to play defense, you should try being an outside hitter. They play all the way around, so you don't have to come out. You can play defense, you can hit, you can do what you want. Hey, Mom, you're right. So, I ended up being an outside. I don't think I was ever anything other than that as growing up from there. I love defense. I love, one of the things in club was I would get so many bruises, and I think I would, for some reason, in a weird way, I would kind of pride myself on those. And so I think the bruises were always like, oh, look at this one. And so I think that was always fun for me, and defense was always just sprawling all over the floor. And I always find that fun. So I love having defense in my game as well.
And welcome back to 209 Sports Talk here on the Pacific Tiger Radio Network and on the 209 Sports YouTube channel. And I am j.o.d. Jeff Dominic, along with none other than senior captain, University of Pacific Women's Volleyball, and probably winding up her career now, and we can kind of go there as that is none other than Lexi Elman. And Lexi, once again, thank you for taking time out of just before the final start here, and taking a second just to kind of hang out and not think about that stuff for
yeah,
right? Yeah. So Lexi, I want to actually, in a lot of ways, I want to thank you because, when I remember where I was at when I first got asked to start covering volleyball here at Pacific, and I was kind of like, okay, I'll give it a shot, because I never even really watched women's volleyball. And then, and I want to say it was, I can't even remember who it was against, but I remember you were my first person I ever interviewed, and I think you had 22 kills that night.
Okay.
And I asked you a few questions. I don't remember what they were, because I was just like a bumbling idiot anyways. And kind of like I am now, but at the same time I'm a little bit more, my knowledge towards you has gotten more and more advanced, so it makes it easier. But watching what, not only the team aspect and the intensity that you provide, it made me enjoy volleyball, and I actually looked forward to coming in and watching it. So it made, as much as I can say that, I say I thank you, but I also thank the team too, because people like Kimmy, Holly, and all those other players that Alicia that were there, they were so much fun to be around. It made it to where I was like, oh heck yeah, I'm gonna be here, kind of thing.
That's awesome. Thank
so
you.
Once again, appreciate it. Appreciate that whole team. It was a great junior year of yours, and it was, like I said, it was just kind of one of those fun things to do. And I've covered you now the last couple of years. I think the last time I actually started probably the year before that, but I didn't have the media credentials at the time.
Okay.
So your junior year I was able to be more around the team and stuff like that. So anyways, that's my little bit of sentimental side of things. Now back to you.
Okay.
Career high, I believe you said, we were talking off air, we think it was against Oregon State around either 28 or 29.
Yeah.
We're going to run with that.
Yep.
When you set that mark, did you ever did your inner competitive side of things ever want to beat that?
Oh, every time. Every time. I wanted to get more than I did the last time I had a game. And, playing on the court, you don't really think, oh, I got 10, let's get 11. Or, you don't really think about that while you're on the court. You just want your team to win. And so, anything that you can do to contribute to the team to win, you always have the off games of, well, after the game you look and you like, well, I got 4 kills. Okay, well, next game, go out and do better. And, that game, Emily probably had 12 or 13 or upwards to 20 to help us win. Or, Janie had more, or Allie, or, whoever it is, Ashlyn always had more. So, it evens out as, if you think about it team-wise.
Absolutely. Your junior year obviously was your career high in kills, and that was probably one of those. A lot of people were talking about you took the next step up, which you did, and really, in a lot of respects, you took the team on your shoulders at some point. This senior year, you had to make a little bit of transition. You had other outside hitters and middles that were doing their thing. Ashlyn came in as a freshman, and she did a phenomenal job in the middle. You had Emily Baptista on the outside with you. You had to kind of be a different kind of leader.
Yeah.
How did you take on that role as you kind of looked into that, going, okay, well, these are the next people that I'm really essentially passing that proverbial torch to?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of a harder transition than anyone would kind of think. I think, kind of realizing, our freshmen were good. They're good.
Mm-hmm.
And to step out on the floor and look at our freshmen now, I don't think I was ever that good my freshman year. And you kind of take yourself back a little and you look and you're like, wow, their futures are going to be better than mine at Pacific Volleyball. And so I think in a sense, I really am focused on, or I spend the most time in practice with the outside hitters, obviously, Emily, and Cian was here, and I love playing with Emily. She was just a very constant person on the floor, and so that was always reassuring. And if I wasn't doing the job, I think everyone knew that she would. And so I think, in a sense, that was a little bit scary as a senior of this freshman can do it, So I think, in a way, she pushed me without even knowing that, and I applaud her for that.
And throughout your 4 years, you've had an opportunity to meet a lot of different people.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was to say probably the most, the one that you get the most entertainment out of, and I'm not going to sit there and say that, because out of due respect, I'm sure you loved every single one of those girls that you've either from your freshman year looking up to the seniors or vice versa. Who would you say was probably the most entertaining, that you got the most, that you always wanted to see yourself around?
Well, I find myself having to say that I can't only say one.
That's fine.
I would say two people, and one of them would but be j.o.d.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I played with her since 5th grade. I love playing with her because she knows me and I know her as a player, and I already talked about off the floor as well, but as a player, she knows what I like. She knows, when I say after the point, if I say, give me the next ball, I'll get the kill, she trusts me, and we've always had that kind of trust on the floor and off the floor, and so I think in that sense I will always love playing with Jess, and I will miss it so much. She always, we just clicked very well. Because we had to.
Yeah.
And then I would say my next, my other favorite would probably be Katrin, as you probably would have guessed. But she reminds me of playing with my sister. Again, we both know each other on the court really well, and we mesh like that. If it's deep over her line, she knows if I'm back there, don't touch it, because I am there, and I'm probably sprawling on the floor, so I'll get mad if she touches it. But yeah, it's like that sister dynamic that we kind of have, and I think that is what makes it really fun. And her covering me, she always lets me know, like, I have your back, or like if she sees something on the floor, she does not hesitate to let me know. So yeah,
there was I want to say there was a message or a tweet or something like that, and I don't remember who had it, and they brought it to my attention. It was something to the fact of, I believe it came from Trin.
Okay.
And it said something to the fact of, it was towards you.
Okay.
And it said something to where, I hate that you're gonna go, because it was obviously in reference to your senior year.
Oh yeah.
Or I'm assuming it was, but it was something to the nature of, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, that you're not, don't think that I'm gonna leave or something like that. What did that have to? Was there any validity to that?
I'm not leaving?
Yeah.
I am staying another semester.
Okay.
And I will be joining the coaching staff. So I recently had changed my major. Instead of business, getting my bachelor's of science in business administration, concentrating in accounting, I'll just have my bachelor's of science in accounting. So it's just a level up, and I kind of decided that a little bit late. And so I do have to stay and take 3 more classes, and so I will be around until next December. I'll be joining the staff in August, so I have my summer, and I'll be an undergrad coach. Greg and I have kind of talked about what'll happen, so yeah.
So does that make you just like a volunteer assistant? How does that, or is he actually putting you on as an assistant coach?
I wouldn't be
staff?
able to be an assistant coach. It would have to definitely be under the undergrad assistant.
Gotcha. Okay.
Greg and I have kind of talked about what my official title will be. We're still trying to figure that out with my class schedule and what I can fit with what works with his schedule, and we just kind of have to figure that out. So yeah, that's still under debate.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, it's like I said, it's kind of cool. And I don't remember how it came across to me, but I just remember that I wanted to ask you that question because it was like, wow, that'd be kind of interesting. And the first thing that came to mind was coaching, because I think, what are you looking to do as a coach? I mean, are you going to how hard are you going to, how much do you have to restrain yourself not to get on the court going, you need to do it like this?
That will be so hard. It kind of reminds me of if you were to be hurt and they told you couldn't play, or they were sitting you a day and you just had to shag. And it was just the worst thing ever. And it will be so hard if I'm at practices, if I'm able to make that and be able to take on that role. It'll be so hard not to want to play, and I'll just be so jealous of everyone, of the whole team playing.
But if they have great success, you can at least take pride in knowing that, one, you probably helped out with that, and two, being on the court, you helped out with that at some point to those to the younger people, young players.
That's a great way of thinking about it.
Now let's talk a little bit about beach volleyball, sand volleyball, however we want to go ahead and go with it. What was the hardest part about sand versus court?
I wouldn't say. I guess the hardest part would be getting the communication down with your partner. In indoor, you have 6 other girls, and that's 6 people talking at one time, and so it's not, if one person isn't talking, it's not going to be that big of a difference, because you're going to always have the people on the floor who always talk. And in terms of beach volleyball, I've had Andy as a partner, Andy Shelton, as a partner for the past 2 years, and I think us as a pair in growing, I think the biggest thing for us was communication. And I think we really got it down this year. She's a great athlete, and, everyone on the team can play beach volleyball. I think it was just the fact of us being in the top spot and knowing that we have to communicate. And we're playing against really good teams, so, the least that we can do on our side is talk. So that's probably the biggest difference.
Now, Andy's got one heck of a serve.
Yeah.
And how was she able to control a serve like that in a little bit of a tighter window?
So you're talking about her topspin serve?
Yeah.
Indoor. So she did not. She
doesn't do that. Okay.
No, it's really hard and it's really tiring. So I really don't blame her for not doing that. But yeah, it is. We've messed around during serving, and it's hard. I've even tried it, and it's hard.
So as you as you look back in your career, it's kind of hard to sit there and say this question, because I know the easy answer would be not getting into an NCAA tournament. But as you look back, are there any others beside that you kind of regret or wish you could have done differently to help this team possibly go advance further than currently where it's at?
I don't know. I would say no, but then again, I would say, I wish I can always be better. I wish I was a better leader. I wish I was a better captain. I wish I could put the ball away more. There are a lot of wishes that if I could go back, I wish I could do things better. But then again, I try and live with no regrets, and so pertaining to that question, yes, I would go back and change, and I would just be a better teammate and captain and leader and player.
Okay, so I don't want to end negatively, so let's go ahead. And what was your favorite game? What was your favorite victory of your career?
Whew, that's a big one.
And if you got more than one, that's cool.
Okay. I would say my freshman year, definitely the most memorable would be the Oklahoma game. Sophomore year, USC. I know we lost, but we took them to 5, and I'm pretty sure they were number 1 at the time, and so that was another one of my most memorable. Junior year, it would probably be playing Creighton, playing my sister. One of my best memories. And then senior year, oh geez, I think the whole Hawaii tournament would just be a favorite because that environment is like no other.
Because you're in Hawaii.
And I was in Hawaii. Yes.
I asked you this when we went on break.
Okay.
And it's time to go ahead and reveal that answer.
Okay.
Because I've asked everybody the same question.
Okay.
If volleyball never existed,
Okay.
and I'd be kind of curious to what your whole family would say, because apparently your whole family is pretty much in volleyball, but if volleyball never existed, what do you think Lexi Elman would be doing right now?
It's probably the easiest answer would be to say basketball. Because that was also a sport that I hold near and dear to my heart. If I didn't have to pick a sport, I would honestly probably just be, be caught reading a book. I love reading, so I'd probably be reading a lot of books.
There you have it, Lexi Elman, the bookworm. No, in all honesty, Lexi, once again, it was a fantastic couple of years. I'm almost. I feel like I've missed out on a couple of years because all I've heard was all these good things that you came in your freshman and sophomore year. So, but I was fortunate enough to see your last 2 years.
Yeah.
And knowing that you're going to be around for at least another semester, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So that way we can I'll probably bounce ideas off of you because I'll probably want to know where so-and-so is at that time. So it'll be kind of fun, kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So once again, Lexi, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You can't leave yet. We got a picture to take, but we will be saying good. Have a good rest of your evening, and good luck for finals.
Thank you.